Hello, I'm Jasmine Darman. Random Days is meant to be an infinite narrative that uses randomization to slowly paint a picture of the protagonist's life, values, and relationships. The story is divided into two types of days: work days and weekends. No matter what, the protagonist works on work days and thinks of setting thoughts on the weekend. This part of the narrative never changes. However, what the protagonist does for that work day, where they work on that day, and what they do on the weekend changes due to randomization. The viewer has no agency in regards to the story or decisions. This parallels the momentum-driven life the protagonist has and their inability to change it. The only moments the viewer can control is how long they're on the page, or if they engage with the additional text. This mirrors taking in the moment. It's said that yellow is the color of happiness. The way it reflects through the walls gives just enough color to become an in-between of rising and falling. Here is meant to be a reference to taking in the moment of the specific time and not being as efficient as running through everything. This is a decision that you, as the viewer, was not allowed to make. You decide to go to work today. You drive over to work. The world passes you by as the sun's color reaches a bright gold. You put down the sun visor to block it out. It's not as though the sight's overbearing, it's just inefficient for driving. In doing so, you remain focused and without distraction. Once you reach your job, you look at the building. So here is a randomized thing. There's two options here. Either you can put down the visor or you leave it up, essentially. That's not a decision, of course, you get to make. It's more so a randomized decision created by the narrative. You looked at the building. It's sleek with glass at the top going high enough that bending to look puts a strain on your neck. The walkway is free of grass or foliage, instead sprinkled with rectangular patches of mulch and small trees unable to grow larger. And this is meant to be that nature is being controlled by humanity and is starting to show some of the core themes of the narrative. Today the wind is stronger. It ruffled a few small leaves on the trees to the walkway. You slide one of the leaves off your shoulder before entering inside. Here is the randomized additional narrative. It's just trying to take nature and have the protagonist look at it, yet it is brushed off to the side. You enter the elevator after a brief wait, then enter into your office. The office floor has multiple closed rooms. The cubicles aren't open like they are in the office. Instead, everyone is sectioned off for privacy and efficiency. Brooding about it is useless. You didn't come here to have fun anyway. You sit down at your chair and begin to work. You took some time to upload files into your Google Drive. Though it's considered to you as sensitive data, the boss nor the company care to keep it under lock and key. It's not as though you're complaining. Outlook products have been a bit of a learning curve. You wouldn't have thought it insecure until your previous coworker mentioned it at lunch previously. He ended up getting let go, but maybe the job was beneath him. The time went by as the workday slowly ended. You drove back home without talking to anyone. The evenings are always the same as on weekdays. Get food, lay on the couch, watch TV. Sometimes it's different food. Tonight it's a quick dish of spaghetti with a can of Coke. Sometimes it's a different show. Tonight it's Dexter. But it always ends up with going to bed until you wake up. Thursday. So it essentially goes to the same thing, however, due to randomization, things will begin to change. There's no randomization in the morning time, it's always a moment of happiness and joy until going to work. Today, it's decided to go to work from home today. The choice had felt hollow. Work at work, work at home. There's no difference either way. At first, you thought working from home made you more productive, but productivity is slowly taught and learned skill. There's barely any change now that you've settled in your position. You look through the calendar you've previously curated. There's a number of work events. You locate the work events within your division and add your boss with a few coworkers. You've never attended these events yourself, but you've heard they really help others. You reflect on its usefulness and feel a momentary sense of purpose before it fades. And looking at the work events, Debt Management Workshop on a Road to a Better Life is one of them that stick out. That's all the work you had today. Your evenings are always the same on the weekdays. And the different food is spaghetti still, and tonight it's Animal Planet. You wake up Friday. The room had lights in front of you as the sun rises through the window. It's now still a weekday, but at least the weekend soon. You decide to come to work today. Today, the sun isn't overbearing, it's efficient to driving. Your main focus without distraction. At the building, there are two men carrying in some sound equipment. You walk over to help, but they have already entered into the building and into the already crowded elevator. You couldn't help them. And this is a common theme. The protagonist, through some of these variants, will always try to interact with others, but will be unable to. This discusses the cubicles. It again discusses Google Drive, the insecurity, lack of security or care towards the consumer. Today it's frozen Hungry Man with a glass of Coke. Tonight it's MASH. Now it's Saturday. It's now the weekend. Without work to do today, your thoughts soon wander. When was the last time you saw your family? It was probably around last year's Christmas. It has been over a year now. You occasionally call them, but every time you do, there's a feeling of loss. You don't want to continue thinking. You decide to do something for today. The thoughts are randomized for the weekends. Today, you socialize with people at the bar. In the daytime, most people aren't around drinking. However, this is the only place you can think of that has singles in your age. Disinterested in getting drunk, you order a soda and sit by a stranger. Afraid to seem demanding or overly social, you keep to yourself. As you muster the courage to glance their direction, you realize they are on their phone. You give yourself a smile of pity to yourself before leaving for home. One of the other types of themes is technology will be competing with the protagonist in terms of distracting the protagonist or a feeling of inferiority towards technology. It's represented in their work as they do data entry and calendar management. It's represented in some of the chores that they do, and it's represented in their interactions. Without work to do, your thoughts soon wander. You wonder if you should try out something new to get you out of the sameness of every day. These thoughts lead commonly back to working out or therapy. Gym memberships aren't expensive. You tried it before. However, being around others has slowly become painful when it's not social. Therapy, likewise, feels too social. You get attached quickly without any means of self-growth. You don't want to continue thinking. You decide to do something for today. You go outside. Today you take a long drive. You didn't have anywhere particular in mind, but you knew to get a full gas of tank just in case. You get on the highway and saw the city get smaller in the side mirror. It wasn't the greatest view, but it was the safest one you can get while behind the wheel. Eventually you ran into traffic. The slowing down of your car let you gaze all around you. On the highway bridge, you couldn't see the ground below the cars, only the concrete road. The sky, at least, is visible in a hazy blue without a cloud. The sight was boring, to say the least, and you eventually turned off the exit and took a side road to get back home. You decide to work from home today. There's more work events. This is the calendar. Automating your data entry, to cut back on business expenses, made you think it's only a matter of time before you're let go. This will continue throughout. The full experience is just simply a day, but this can extend to multiple in order to have a different feeling every day. The weekends are separate from the weekdays, so that if you did happen to go towards the weekend, it would have a little more variety towards the routine. The experience starts on a Wednesday in order to give enough time for understanding the weekday and getting into the weekend.